Thanks for staying with us. So you've heard our thoughts on the Bobrisky saga, how some Nigerians feel that the House of Reps have no business in calling individuals on a matter like that. They should have allowed the agencies responsible to carry out the proper probe and investigations before getting to the House of Reps. And we've heard how it's also important that some of the committees, like Nima rightly mentioned, should be investigating such. And the fact that we need to take our offices more seriously so that Nigerians can take us more seriously. So, like every other person who has advised that we move on to more serious topics, we are moving on now. So joining us now is a world-renowned leadership consultant, a business strategist, and a transformational speaker, recognized for his profound ability to inspire individuals, organizations, and nations to achieve excellence. He will be speaking to us about national development and leadership, also discussions about unifying Nigeria. Welcome, Dr. SamAdeyemi in the building. I'm itching to add faster. I'm just itching. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here. I've been watching your view for some time.
Wow.
So it's a pleasure to meet you all.
The pleasure is
looking
ours.
so beautiful today.
Thank you,
oh my
sir.
God.
Thank you, sir.
Happy Independence Day.
Happy Independence Day. I wish Tokwe was here too. You know Tokwe already.
Yes, I do.
Yes. So since I've known you, because I was a beneficiary of your leadership training some time back, just finished school, we're waiting to get into the university, and I had to do that training. And you have always had this message of good leadership, effective leadership. Even while you're in the pulpit, you're preaching about spiritual things, you're also adding excellence. You are talking about how people can own their work, how people can put in the work, And I would like you to look at what is going on in the country. We are 64 today, by the grace of God. How do you think leadership has impacted where we are? Have we gone forward? Are we moving backwards? Are we in the middle? Are we stuck? Help us, please.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you once again for having me here. Your question reminds me of a song by one of our famous musicians in Nigeria. And I used to hear that song when I was a child.
I know it.
Oh, is that?
We know this song.
Right? Whether the driver is driving me forward or is driving me backwards, said, I don't know. Although, if I remember correctly, his next album, he said, I know now. I hope that's the story of Nigeria. I think what all of us are conscious of is the fact that Nigeria holds tremendous potential. Tremendous potential. We're blessed in so many ways. And our greatest resources are our people. Nigerians are excelling everywhere all over the world in all sectors. My dear wife, Pastor Nick, and I met a gentleman, a medical doctor in the US, sometime last year, I think. The news went all over the world when he brought a baby out of the mother's womb because the baby had hydrocephalus, I think, fluids in the brain, drained the fluid, and put the baby back in the womb. Nigerians are excelling everywhere.
I read about that.
Right? And then we look at our own country and we wonder, why are things the way they are? So the potential is high. I know, of course, the 64th independence celebration, some people may wonder, what is there even to celebrate about? What role has leadership played? A lot. I tell people where the head goes, that's where the rest of the body goes. You look at a cow, for example. The decision-making goes on in the head. The thinking goes on in the head. So when they say, like those of us Christians, quote, we pray with this promise in the Bible, and the Lord will make you the head and not the tail. I say this is what it means. Decisions are not made by the tail. The tail is dragged here and there. The decision-making is made in the head. In the business world, we say that the fish rots from the head. We've not been able to get the leadership issue right. I'll say when it comes to the understanding of leadership, we're still at our infancy. Wow. Because right now that we're mentioning the word leadership, the only thing some people are thinking about are the guys in government.
Yeah. The
And there's a
president.
difference between leader and leadership.
Okay.
There's a difference. The first one addresses personalities. The other one deals with principles and processes and systems. So at the end of the day, when you get the definition of leadership right, it changes everything. Most people think it has to do with occupying a position. But leadership simply defined means influence. The ability to influence one or more people to achieve goals. I say, when you were a child, if you were able to persuade your friend to go with you to buy sweets, that was leadership.
Influence.
And once you define leadership as influence, you realize it's actually happening everywhere.
Yes.
You can't discount the influence of parents on their children. That's where we get our values from. And they say the values are pretty much formed by the age of 7. Teachers only help parents to do their jobs. Okay? But then the schools are also important. So leadership happens at all levels. So once you look at Nigeria at all levels, then you will understand the problem more, that we're dealing with a cultural problem, not just with individuals. We've been changing the individuals for 64 years. How come things have not changed?
But it's not nothing wrong with us as a people. Not just, maybe in every form of leadership that we have, there's a strain of our genetics. I'm not going too far. That influences how we see things. So we see a Nigerian who can perform the surgery on a baby still in the womb in America, and if he was in Nigeria, he would not be able to do it because people would ordinarily say, "Which kind you two do?" I was reading about.
We will not even have the tools to do it here.
Not beyond the tools. He won't even get the opportunity to dare to dream it. Exactly. There was a doctor I read about, Dr. Sato Sewigwe, and he's building US drones for war. And he's a Nigerian who couldn't do it here, who everybody looked down until he jackpot, and he got there. Everybody has to go out before they can. We have the knowledge was in you, but here you two do. You don't start, kind of look down on everything that we consider abnormal, that is not easy here. Is it not something within us as a people that we will not allow the kind of leadership that we desire, but when we see the result out there, we compare
We
it
appreciate it.
back home?
Thank you. You are addressing the root of the matter. We leaders take the word culture seriously. Again, when you say culture, the average person thinks, it has to do with language, with the kind of food that we eat, with our fashion, sense and so on. But culture runs deeper than that. It's like an iceberg.
Mindset.
The part that you see above the water is very small compared to the one that is under. So the invisible part of culture is actually the most powerful part. Mindset. Values.
Yep.
Mindset, values, beliefs. So I've been studying about development, national development, for several years now. In fact, someone gave me a book, a friend gave me a book many years ago titled Culture Matters. Culture Matters. And the book was compiled from a symposium they held at Harvard University many years ago to find the connection between values and national development. And they found a very strong connection. One basic one, value for human life. Value for human life.
1/10.
So we had the opportunity of having our last baby in the US. And then they said to me that I should go buy a car seat before we could take her home. And they gave the specifications. And they said I should bring it, fix it in the car. A nurse came out to inspect it, to be sure that it aligned with the requirement, because they said that it is the law. So I said, what's the big deal? They said, the point is that in the constitution of the country, it says all men are created equal. The life of this child is worth as much as yours. And because the child is defenseless, the law has to protect that child from you. If you hold that child and the car has a crash, the child will fly out of your hand and then probably die or be seriously injured. So the law has to protect that child.
Because
That's
the
why
child
you
is
have...
vulnerable.
Sorry?
Because the child is vulnerable.
Because the child is vulnerable, right? So that's why you have to put the child in a car seat and make sure the child is secure. That began to shift my brain to understand how the whole system there works. Why the emergency services are effective. They invest money to preserve human life, to protect human life. Why the roads have to follow the specifications and so on. While when you are constructing a building, they will make sure you follow the specification. It's usually difficult there to get approval to construct anything because of the value for human life. On the other hand, here, I see...
We say only one person died.
Thank you, right?
It's true now.
So there, if there's a car crash, if there's an accident, and you arrive on the scene first, there's a likelihood that people have been injured. It is against the law for you to drive away. If someone gets your car plate number, you will go to jail. It's the law for you to stop and render whatever assistance you can until the emergency services arrive.
But if you stop here, police will arrest you for being part of the accident.
Now.
Our values are different. You
Yeah.
explain
Right?
that.
So the values, right?
Yeah.
So that's why even when you want to do the right thing here, then you find people talking. You know, to you, what's your business? Are you the only one?
Yeah.
So if things are going to really change, we have to start from this mindset shift. And leaders play a huge role there.
Thank you.
Leaders play a huge role. I've suggested before that leaders at the highest level need to talk to Nigerians practically every day. The programming for the average person in a Western economy is different. It actually starts from childhood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Starts from elementary school. This leadership issue, when I became conscious of it several years back, you know, it's almost 30 years now that I went on radio with the program Success Power, teaching people how to succeed. At some point, I now realized that at the highest level of success, you help other people to succeed. When you combine success with selfishness, you create big problems. At the highest level of success, you turn the focus from yourself, you put it on other people, you empower other people to succeed. I now realize that we largely don't have that.
Okay.
So much deprivation, so much poverty. By the time we grow into adults, we just want to take and take and get. That's why I now moved into leadership. I started a leadership school, Star Leadership Academy, 22 years ago, because I was asking myself, if leadership is that important, why are we not teaching leadership? How come it was not in the courses I studied in school and so on? So I started a leadership school, right? And I then went for master's degree in leadership. My background is in engineering. I eventually did the doctoral program in leadership. That I've seen a big gap here. I need to serve my country in this area. I'll tell you, before I stop for now, that when I compared the two systems, the system in Nigeria with what we have in the developed economies, I then saw how they prepare their citizens for leadership from childhood. It is compulsory for their children to do volunteering.
Yeah.
They make them go to orphanages, even pet orphanages, right? Stray dogs and cats that they find. They make these young people to go and serve for free.
Yeah.
You have to learn to do something without expecting a pay.
Anything in return.
In high school, you get credit for it.
Yeah.
When you want to enter university in the US, for example, they ask you to write a personal statement. One of the major things they're looking for there is the volunteering you have done. If they don't see anything there, they won't take you, because it means you're a self-centered person. You are not coming to add value to the university or to the community, right?
Mary?
So with that, they've turned the focus. So
None
the
of us
challenge
will
with
qualify.
us, right? We don't have the equivalent. So somebody grows until they become senator, governor, or director somewhere.
Then
Then
you're
they see this
preaching-
big budget,
Do for somebody.
billions of naira. Then they just take and take.
That's what it.
And
Yeah.
take.
That's what they know.
Yeah. We need
Okay.
to shift the mindset and the
Mindset.
values.
It's
So
not
I'm
just
looking at-
Nigeria. Oh.
May I?
I was watching this video. I don't know if I shared it with you yesterday, or Mobutu yesterday. Mobutu's house, if you see his house,
Blacks.
and he was walking there majestically, something that you are not going to carry with you when you go. You will go and you will leave the thing. Now, he has left the thing is in ruins.
Yeah.
in ruins.
Typical black man.
And that's, I see Paul Biya. Oh, he will go for a meeting, he will be saying, who is there with me? He doesn't even know what he's seeing or saying.
Thank you.
He doesn't want to leave that place. He will not help his people. So that kind of money that Mobutu had, if he had put it into the progress of Congo, do you know where they will be?
Yeah. Okay.
But no. They will keep on chopping. Their throats will be fat. Oh, gosh, the African leaders.
Sir, talking about, what you just said and also what YK has said, I was just thinking that, have we always been like that? Has that always been our culture? Or would you say something may have happened along the way? We had people, we had sort of our own local traditional institutions, we had qualities and values. Where did we lose it? And how can we, because I like the comparison with our country and the Western world, but sometimes I feel that maybe we need to look within and look back a bit and maybe learn something from how we used to do things and then employ it for the future.
Oh, thank you. That's a beautiful question. The interesting thing about culture around the world is that no culture is perfect. You have the pros and the cons. However, a culture needs to evolve. So it's the evolution of our own that is a big problem. It has not gone forward, it has been going backward. Those other parts of the world that are developed now used to be like us. That's the good news. So there's hope for us. London used to have gutters, had to have money. Used to be dirty like us.
Used to bath.
But they evolved. So even before the colonizers came, right, we had this, largely in most parts of Africa and most parts of Nigeria, not all, but in most, we had this monarchical structure of government, right? And in the monarchical system of government, the king owns everybody and everything. In our Yoruba culture, we refer to our king as Kabiyesi or Kabiyosi. You are not accountable to anybody. It's one of the things that is making it difficult for us to build a democracy. Because you notice even democratic leaders don't want to be accountable. Right? Now, I'm not saying that the monarchical system of government is wrong, right? Because even democracy has not worked so much for us. You look at the Middle East now, you see what monarchical system of government is doing. The positive side, because it's evolving, right? You have leaders that have empathy. And because they don't have any National Assembly to get any approval from, they're able to move fast. They make decisions, but their passion is to elevate the quality of life for their people. So they are developing fast. In our own scenario, so we already had a scenario where the king owned practically everything. Like in that monarchical system, our market was Ojaoba. The farms, Okuoba. The government was Ijo Oba.
Everything belonged to the Oba.
Ijo, so the government of the king, right? The assembly of the king. And the democracy is supposed to be government of the people, by the people, for the people. So deep down in our culture, it's actually the monarchical system we have. That's why even in a democratic setting, we want our democratic leaders to behave like kings. We're okay with that, and we don't make demand from them. Not only leaders in government, even in church and everywhere, even in the family, right? So I think, with the colonizers then came, they fit into that easily. You see that they adapted in different parts of Africa. Northern Nigeria, they adapted. They just walked through the emir and had control over everybody, right? And then we got independence. Our chance. That was our chance, right? To evolve something new. But that system of government came back in where the leaders, the first set of leaders after the colonizers, now began to struggle among themselves. Our differences, especially tribal, came in. And then it's like we inherited internal colonizers. So that's what we're struggling.
Same thing we were running from.
What we were running from, it's now internal. And it's about the same across Africa. So I would say that being a leader myself, We leaders don't see problems as problems. We see them as opportunities. I'll just say that Nigeria, the whole of Africa, just has this unique opportunity right now to evolve leadership-wise. But it's not going to happen without willingness to shift our thinking. Anybody who's expecting magic to happen in Africa is deceiving themselves. As long as you have this small elite class that has control of political power and uses it to channel economic resources to benefit itself selfishly, we're not going anywhere. Some people will get richer and richer and richer. The mass of the people will get poorer and poorer and poorer. So we need to talk to those of us that are in the elite class. I'll say those of us because I struggled, I tried, but I'm there.
You entered there.
Oh, I entered. Thank you. And then we need to talk to the mass of the people. I have friends in government, and some are now out of government. Even when you want to do the right thing in Nigeria, like Nema said earlier, they will give you problems, and you will lose the next election in this country right now. So it's actually from top to bottom. All of us need to shift our thinking and to break free from this self-centeredness. Yes. Value collective success more than the individual one.
Success.
However rich you are in Nigeria, you are still poor.
So you've given us a lot to take in, and we need to, internalize it for a minute. So we'll be taking a breather here. When we come back, the conversation continues. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.